Hello everyone, welcome back to Major Hi-Fi. I'm Luke. It is a beautiful sunny day here in New York and I'm feeling very peppy. Who wants to talk about IEMs? You do great because I have a pair right here. These are the Kinera BD005 Pro. So Kinera makes a pretty wide range of IEMs, anywhere from $13.99 all the way down to $59, $29. And these are on the lower end of their price spectrum. They run for $49, so relatively affordable. But also $49. Let's see what we're going to get here, because as I always say with sort of, lower priced things, sometimes the lower price means just that they were able to, get good materials at a good price, they were able to manufacture it well, or just that a company wants to sell more headphones to more people and, wants to just put a low amount of effort into a cheap product and try to sell it. But in the past, everything I've used from Kinera has been really good, including their less expensive IEMs. So I wasn't really too skeptical that this was going to be anything, just like a throwaway product or something. But it is $49, and so I am not expecting it to be the perfect, most amazing sound ever. But it's still $49 of your, hard-earned dollars, and you should be putting it towards something good. And I think that this can still be held to a pretty high standard in the world of technology and audio today. We've got plenty of $49 headphones, some that we've reviewed on this channel that are really great. So, we're not going to be putting up with anything that is subpar. So before we get into what these sound like and all those details, let's just talk about what they look like, what you're getting in the box, and all that. So these come in this nice 6 hexagonal box. And it's pretty simple packaging. There's not a ton of different doodads that come in here. We just get a case with the IEMs in them and, some extra ear tips. So it's a pretty standard hard shell carrying case, fits the IEMs, does the job. And then here are the BD005 005 Pro. And that is all we get, but frankly, that is all we need. Right off the bat, quite a bold statement going on here, and this is kind of what Kinera definitely is known for outside of their sound quality, that they go for it on the looks. So these come in red, blue, or gray. This one is actually called murky blue, and they've got these cool flecks of gold going on. They really do look sort of like polished gemstones. That's kind of, I think, what they're going for with most of their IEMs. Those stones you can buy at the gift shop or whatever. I guess people use them, healing crystals or whatever. That's what these always resemble to me, is like those polished, smooth crystals and stones, and these follow that theme. So very good looking. If you're buying purely based on looks, which I'm sure you're not, though maybe you are without realizing it, we all do sometimes. But if you were buying purely based on looks, anything from Kinera is gonna be pretty hard to beat. And even if you're buying based on sound, you still want your IEMs to look nice and pretty, and these are two good looking ladies over here. So let's talk about how these fellas fit in your ears. These fit really well for a universal IEM. They have that kind of molded ear shape. I feel like the fit of most IEMs is kind of a code that we've cracked in a way. I haven't really worn a pair in quite a while that I thought was truly uncomfortable. And these are on the very comfortable side, I would say, because of all their smooth edges and whatnot. And they're very easy to find the right space in your ear. They don't take all that fiddling around to lock in, like the kind of fit that you can forget you're wearing after a few minutes. So these murky blue IEMs feature a 3D printed body, and inside that is a 9.2 millimeter beryllium diaphragm driver along with a high frequency balanced armature driver. These are a hybrid IEM. They use 2-pin 0.78 millimeter connectors and a 4-core silver plated cable with a 3.5 millimeter termination. They have an impedance of 26 ohms and a frequency response of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. And this is a 1.2 meter cable. It has plenty of length. It stretches just fine across my elongated lizard-like torso, no problem reaching my phone or whatever I'm plugging it into. So I think in terms of length, it will meet your needs. And in terms of looks, comfort, and design, these are probably a little bit above their price range, especially in the looks category. These don't look like a $49 IEM, and they definitely don't feel like the build is flimsy at all. These things feel really, really durable. So yeah, cool look, cool fit, and interesting design. I'm a big fan of the hybrid IEM game, so let's see how these sound. So in terms of Soundstage, these perform maybe slightly above their price range. I would say they have a considerable level of immersion and sense of space. And they have a pretty successful instrument separation for the most part. At times, they definitely have a bit more blend than I maybe wanted them to, not to the point of congestion, but they're not the most three-dimensional IEM I've ever heard in this price range, but certainly getting the job done. It's not a Soundstage that's gonna feel like something you've never heard from an IEM before, but it is one that you'll appreciate for the price. Really nothing wrong with it, just nothing super noteworthy, and that's fine. You know, as long as it works and is getting the point across, is creating a good sense of space, an ample sense of, you know, holographic immersion and whatnot, like I said, then that's good enough, especially for this lower price point. All right, so for the high end, these have a pretty bright high end with some noticeable gloss and crispness and sort of this snappy shine to them. Their high end, while bright, definitely gets a little bit overshadowed by their mid-range, which we're going to get to next. But overall, these are a brighter IEM. I would definitely put them pretty far up in the brightness scale. And even though it does at times take a bit of a backseat, it still has enough definition to cut through and make a statement for itself. Their high end seems to be more in that colored, saturated category than the super smooth, silky. So definitely a fair amount of kind of texturized sound as opposed to that super airy, lofty, lush high end, but it definitely is just a matter of taste. And if you want that more colored, saturated sound, these definitely have that. While the treble does have a noticeable extension, I would definitely say that definition takes precedent over boosting. So it's giving you the essential detail and, you know, amplifying that more than it's just trying to amplify the high end of every single element. I will say that at times vocals felt a little bit sibilant, especially on those S sounds, you know, that kind of ringing frequency you get. Nothing terrible. I mean, it could be worked on, but we're talking about lower priced here. A little bit of sibilance is nothing unheard of, and it wasn't a make or break thing. It just felt like, could have done without it, but it was fine. So overall, saturated, detailed high end, a little bit of sibilance, but not to a compromising level, and feels very intricate and accurate. Hey guys, Luke here. Just wanted to say that if you're enjoying this video, it would be great if you could hit the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever we have new content out, and give this video a thumbs up. Also, any suggestions for future content or ideas you have, please leave them in the comments. Any feedback and support is greatly appreciated just to help grow the channel. And I would love to hear more from you guys. So on that note, let's get back into the review. All right, so the mid-range. I have some mixed feelings about it. On one hand, it was very defined, it was extremely crisp, it gave a great sense of presence and forwardness. But on the other hand, it felt a bit harsh and too heavy in the sense of resonance and kind of ringing. Just to sort of pinpoint the issue, I tried out EQing these. I took off a few dB at 2 kilohertz and 4 kilohertz around that area. Just a couple different cuts, and that to me like solved the problem. So if these just maybe tuned that 2 kilohertz, 4 kilohertz range a bit more, then to me they'd be perfect, but I'm also very mid-range sensitive, specifically very high mid sensitive. So a lot of people, since it's only like a few decibels, I found it to be over. Those few decibels could be not a big deal to a lot of people. To me, they felt like a bit of a issue at times. Once again, it didn't make or break the IEM. I wasn't like, these few decibels are ruining it for me. I was just kind of thinking it would have been nice if these were rolled off. That being said, talking about sound, if they have been rolled off, someone else might say that the high end or the high mid was too subdued. And in terms of their low mid, those just are more subdued and are definitely surrendering to the high mid, especially with its more resonant character at times, it's pretty hard to cut through over it. Also, this kind of, sharper timbre could be great for live applications, so guitars, vocals, maybe certain keyboards, whatnot. Anything that's hitting that range that you want to be pushed forward, it could be really great for that. I will say for casual listening, I might want a little bit more warmth, a little bit more refinement and filtering there, but you can still get a really good casual listen out of these, of course. And once again, low price, so we're not expecting perfection here, and the mid-range overall feels like the high end, mostly very good and very defined and really accurate. And then I'll also say that for casual listening, if you're listening to really, really warm songs, or maybe songs that are almost a little bit too subdued in the mid-range, it can actually bring them a bit closer to you. I listened to the song Dissolving by Hannah Cohen. She has a lot of nice kind of ambient alternative tracks with some really pretty warm kind of analog feels to them. And with the BD005 Pro, it felt like it gave me this more up close and personal and kind of more, defined, detailed presentation. So I definitely think that genre could judge maybe whether these are great for you or not. If you listen to, a lot of really metallic, twangy music, these might accentuate it too much. But if you like ambient music or stuff that almost feels a bit dull or overly mixed or whatever, then these can add a bit of extra coloration and saturation and just, like I said, forwardness to the song because of that boosted high-mid area. So their low end is definitely more tamed. It's not begging for attention. It's not a huge deal. Similar to the high end, it's definitely more definition over boosting. So we've got kind of very defined but not absurdly boosted highs and lows, and then a bit more overtly boosted mid-range. So I overall found the low end to not be super intense, but if given the right assignment, it could definitely take it there. I listened to a number of tracks by this Argentinian singer Nathy Peluso, and her production is often very hip-hop, electronic influenced, and we get a lot of different timbres of low end, especially with really heavy kick drums and bass drums. So I handed those tracks to these because I knew that if it gave me a not very bass heavy presence of those songs, then it was just literally cutting the bass. But it was definitely able to handle its various textures of kicks and bass really well. It was really tight and clean. It's not gonna beef up the low end. It might contain it just a tad bit, but it gives you a accurate, like the rest of it, presentation, and is able to give a bit more impact if given the right song. It doesn't offer a ton of sub-frequencies. It's not devoid of that kind of pleasantly rumbling sensation, but it's not focused on that at all, for sure. I wouldn't recommend these to a bass lover, but if you are looking for an IEM in this price range, most people will find the low end is at least sufficient. Okay, so overall thoughts, these have some imperfections. There's some disputes I maybe have with these, but for $49, they're definitely still a steal. That tends to be the case with Kinera, a lot of really great deals in their IEM range. Just do be mindful of the specificity of their tuning and that it's not going to be for everyone. If you're really mid-sensitive, you might want to look at some other models from Kinera. They definitely fit in with a growing category of really cheap or cheaper IEMs that rival the more expensive models out there right now. And I guess I might recommend these a bit more for live performance applications than I would for casual listening, but they could still be really good for casual listening, and they still deliver a very engaging, enjoyable sound. So that is my review of Kinera's BD005 Hybrid IEM. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer, and I will be back very soon with some more reviews. If you want to compare these to other IEMs, higher priced IEMs, lower priced, other hybrid IEMs, whatever you want to do, I will link to Major Hi-Fi's IEM ranking tool. And that is all I have for you today. So until next time, happy listening.